Good evening, everybody. If I could have your absolute attention for this moment, please. I will do my bit, get off, and then we'll wrap Recipient. But if I could have your attention. Thank you. Okay. Steve Jobs once said, innovation distinguishes between a leader and a founder. Guys, if I could please have your attention for this, up the back. Please, thank you. Steve Jobs once said, innovation distinguishes between a leader and a founder. I couldn't agree more. In today's world, where technology dominates nearly every facet of our lives, we see examples of innovation everywhere that have been created by inspirational founders. But innovation today isn't just about creating new gadgets. It's about shaping the world we live and work in, driving economic growth, solving complex problems, and boosting efficiency and productivity. Tonight's recipient is a perfect example of this kind of innovation and leadership in our industry. While she may not have developed the latest tech marvel, but through her groundbreaking work, she's helped transform Australia's events industry, specifically business events, over the last 50 years. She is a rare breed, a founder. She tells me she was just 12 when she started. And I'm sure there are many of you here tonight who weren't even born when she began her career. It's a rare thing to find someone who not only has the vision and the drive to start something from scratch, but to also have the passion and courage to say, I can do this, and then go on and build a business that endures and thrives. Who could have predicted that starting as a Japanese tour guide for the Australian Tourism Commission back in the late 1960s would lead to so many extraordinary achievements? And yet, through sheer perseverance and innovation, she not only built a successful business in what is now known today as Aranex, but helped establish an entire industry that has gone from strength to strength. Back then, there were no industry associations, and convention bureaus simply helped you find a venue. There was not even a thing called the internet, and professional conference organisers were, well, let's just say they were still figuring out what they actually did. Delegates, by and large, came from America looking for kangaroos down the main street and wearing floral shirts. There certainly wasn't an award program for excellence like we have here tonight. How far the industry has come since then, even if a few floral shirts still seem to make their way through customs. Everyone in this room tonight is the beneficiary of the pioneering work of tonight's recipient has done for our industry. Her list of achievements is unprecedented in the events industry and includes awards by the Federal Minister for Tourism for contribution, the Order of Australia Medal, a MEA Award for Outstanding Contribution, Industry Person of the Year presented by AIM, Honorary Life Member of ICA, IMEX Academy Outstanding Contribution, and when she wasn't doing that, she was a Rotarian for 30 years and won the ultimate Paul Harris. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, and I'd be here all night if we kept on going. The only award she hasn't won yet is a Gold Logie and Test Cricketer of the Year, but there's still plenty of time for those. Personally, I'm honoured to be making this presentation tonight. I'll always remember when I first started in the industry, she was the first people to offer me support. At a MEA conference, she came up to me, introduced and said, "Hi, I'm Roz McLeod. You're getting a name for yourself in Melbourne. Keep up the good work." First, I thought she had me confused with the late David Grant, but to my surprise, she didn't. She'd already been speaking with others about who was making a break in the industry. I'll never forget how much that simple gesture meant to me. Someone of her stature took the time to acknowledge my work. I know she takes great satisfaction in giving back to the industry she helped build, always with grace and humility. For those of you here tonight who are just starting out, think of her as the Taylor Swift of the events industry, someone who has helped change the face of an entire sector. So it is with great pleasure that I introduce tonight's recipient of the Outstanding Lifetime Achievement Award, Roslyn McLeod, OAM.
thank you very much, Peter, for all those lovely words. I did have a speech prepared, but after listening to all the winners so far, I thought I'd better ditch it. So I have. First of all, I'd like to thank the organisers, because I've actually received 10 of these kind of awards, which is just amazing. But every other one within the industry, I was there on my own, maybe with team members. Sometimes the one from the minister, I was literally on my own, came as such a shock. So I was never prepared. But this is particularly good for me because my husband of 51 years, Angelo Bonanno, is here with me tonight. So I'm particularly... Without the support, all of us, in this industry, we don't work 9 to 5. We're so committed, we put so much energy, and we put so much time into what we do. So, it's our partners and our families. We really need their support in order to do that and give us some kind of a balanced lifestyle. So I thank Angelo, and it's particularly nostalgic for us to be on this piece of land, because I'm married to an Italian, and so in our courting years we used to come to the Apia Club, which used to be here. So it was the Apia Club was an Italian soccer club, so so it's very familiar territory for us. So here we are again, Angela. And my son David Bonanno, and some of you may know because he's been in the industry for some 30 years, and our daughter Alison and their families. They really have to put up with a lot. So thank you to them too. Thank you to the judges. That was very kind of you to nominate me. And thank you to, a special thank you to your 3 media supporters, to Trevor, Helen, and to Sheridan, who run those companies. Over the years, they've been very supportive of me and our company, and I've certainly appreciated that. Whilst they're in the background, I sometimes think 1 or 2 of them are probably your opportunity for a Lifetime Achievement Award, because they're always there in the background doing so much wonderful work for everybody and exposing it, because if we don't expose what we do and get the support of government and our communities, well then it's much harder for us to succeed in what we do. Over the years, over 50 years, last year Aranex celebrated its 50th anniversary, and I made that starting point from the time I opened my first office back in 1970, when I started as the Australian Tourist Commission's Japanese-speaking tour guide, and then the tourists started to come, the Japanese and then other languages. I used to work from home. My mum was my backup for the first 12 years, and I didn't pay her, so that's how I got a start. And then in the last 25 years, my sister Lorraine DeVito was my 2IC and backed me and ran the company. We got up to 127 staff, 5 offices, and so we did grow over the years. I sold the company in 21 to Nicole Walker, who tonight is in Abu Dhabi, and I'm just seeing on WhatsApp, I'm seeing all kinds of photos and stories from everybody of the wonderful seminar that she put on today as a part of the International Congress and Convention Association's annual Congress. So she's out there doing Australian proud, but she's also doing me proud because she's running the company so well, expanding it and doing all kinds of wonderful things. So all's good. The company will live on even though I'm retired. I was at golf today, which is a nice thing to be doing these days. I must admit though, I twisted my ankle, so there were moments when I didn't think I was going to make tonight. But I'd love to tell you about some of the amazing events we've been involved in. I think the highlight of my career was the Olympics, and Sandy Holiday and his team were very busy doing that. We were the only company out of, I think it was 23 sponsors, Millennium sponsors, the only company, only Australian company whose client did not employ anybody from overseas, but just us to run all their event. So it was a pretty big achievement. But that same year, we also did Corroboree 2000 Aboriginal reconciliation at the Opera House with a walk across the bridge and some. Of course, when you're doing government conferences, you've got a lot of backup from government, but also we had a big part to play in running that event and making it successful. And if I mention our medical meetings, you know, probably 1997 was breakthrough for us. We got our first major medical meeting, and that was very hard. Took me years to get to that. And that was the 19th International Congress of Otorhinolaryngology, Head and Neck Surgery. So after you learned that, you know, you could do anything. But so, you know, we had cadavers and operations happening in the convention centre, and we had our big function, our party function at Taronga Zoo, which I don't think has happened to that extent. It was big. We had thousands there, 3,000 people. So, you know, we over the years we've done, and also back in those days we used to do a lot in the Opera House. Of course, we can't afford to do that these days unless we have clients that have got that money. I did learn from a client that nothing is impossible. In 1982, Chase Manhattan Bank had their advisory board meeting down here in Australia with a who's who, a global who's who, Henry Kissinger, David Rockefeller, and others. And because we travelled together, got to know them and talk to them. That was interesting. But in particular, what was their challenge was, we had 3 days, and their itinerary to meet Prime Minister, Premiers and business leaders was Sydney, Mount Isa, Canberra, Melbourne, Cessnock, Sydney. So if you've ever tried to organise anything like that with that time constraint, it's not easy. We did it. It was very successful, but the client said they'd never do it again because it was just on the run the whole time, but it worked. So what I learned there was nothing's impossible, it just costs more. So that was a big learning point for me. Yeah. So I think I should leave it there. I could actually you know, I mean, there were just so many amazing events. I should mention maybe LNG, liquefied natural gas, Australia's #1 export commodity. We did that in '98 to begin with, and then we did it again in 2016 in Perth. Amazing. The centre wasn't big enough for us, so we had to extend it. So we're in the construction industry there. So, you know, all sorts of things, all sorts of challenges you meet. And my mother said to me when I was young, you know, if you don't have confidence in yourself, how can you expect others to have confidence in you? So just like we've heard earlier on, we all need to be confident in this business to tackle the challenges and produce the solutions, and we've always been able to do that. And I think mostly successfully as well. So thank you very much for the award. I really do appreciate it. I think it's a great honour, and I'm, you know, I was a bit, as not having been asked ever before, every other one, with the exception of Australian Honours, has been a surprise. It's very difficult when you ask somebody to accept an award, although I understand why you do it. The other thing is that I would say my piece of advice in leaving tonight is that nothing is lonelier than getting a beautiful award if you don't have the person you love with them. So, you know, just all remember that when you're doing your awards nights, and make sure you encourage your clients to have the award recipients.